So hello everyone and welcome. This is the spoiler part review of the second episode of Magia Record Anime. So we're going to once again go over all the different differences between the game story and what actually happened in the anime. So we begin in the game story, similarly with a flashback to the hospital. More importantly though, we actually get something very interesting happening here, which is also something we're going to see for the rest of this chapter. Is that she doesn't just remember Ui being at the hospital, and Ui actually talks to her and they have a bit of a conversation. More importantly, we see Toka and Nemu being at the hospital. The important part about that is that we don't actually know of Toka and Nemu in the anime at all. Moreover, next up we see that she can't actually deal with technology at all, and she's really bad with phones, with electronic maps, with anything like that. But she still somehow gets into the hospital, and she actually goes all the way up to the hospital room that they were supposed to stay in, and she finds out that it's empty. And once again, she then says, "Oh, I'm looking for Toka and Nemu." She doesn't even say that she's looking for Ui. She says, "Toka and Nemu were supposed to be here, but they aren't." And then we also get a flashback of Toka and Nemu arguing, where they talk about ending their friendship. But it's okay because Ui is there, and Ui is supposed to be the anchor that keeps everyone together. At that point, then Yachio appears, and Yachio is the one who tells Iroha about the rumor of the breakup staircase, I'm gonna call it. Interestingly enough, in-game, this rumor has nothing to do with etching your name into a staircase. That is something that the anime just made up, I guess. Yachio then also talks quickly about the Kamehama rumor files, and it basically is some sort of binder that just has a bunch of info on rumors in Kamehama. We also see that Iroha all the time in the game has Mokyu with her, because the Mokyu is actually supposed to be like the player character, and you actually get some multiple choice decisions to do every now and then, but none of them matter at all. Every single time a multiple choice question comes up, it doesn't matter which of the 2 or 3 or whatever, how many you pick. It changes maybe like one line. It changes maybe the one next line. And after that, it's exactly the same again. So yeah, it's pointless. More importantly though, when Iroha talks about Ui, Yachio goes, "Huh, that's weird. If it's true what you're saying, that means that somehow the entire world might have been changed. Huh, but that's weird." Yeah, we kind of know that that's actually a bit true. So he actually kind of comes up with an idea that is rather close to the truth. And then right after that, Yachio leaves, and Iroha comes across Team Kamore fighting nearby. Not a witch, they're fighting each other because they're having an argument. We don't actually ever see what the argument is about. We just see Reina and Kaede being angry at each other and telling each other like, "Nope, this friendship is over." And we get a little bit of a callback as well to the fight between Toka and Nemo, where they also said, "Oh, our friendship is over now." And then there's the third character who's trying to make them make up again. We then see that Iroha is trying to stop Reina from running away. By the way, this is the first time that Iroha and we, as the player, actually see Reina, but we've already seen Kaede and Momoko before in Chapter 1. So Iroha tries to stop Reina from running away, but doesn't really go that well, because Iroha is really weak and Reina is just way stronger, and Reina even transforms into Iroha very shortly and just knocks her down and runs away. Afterwards, they then go to McDonald's, I guess, or Gosh Burger, whatever you want to call it. And then they talk about what happened, and Iroha brings up the breakup staircase to Momoko in there. And Momoko is like, "It's just a rumor, that's not really true, right?" And she even says, "Oh, this rumor is coming from Yachio, which, well, if Yachio is saying it, it can't be right. Like, Yachio, who even believes Yachio? She's a crazy person." So once again in the game, Yachio is being portrayed as someone who's crazy, as someone who's just wrong, and someone who might be a little bit evil as well. While Momoko is the one who we actually have, even in Chapter 1, the closer connection to, and we kind of are led to believe everything that Momoko says because she's so friendly and nice. And because we know her for longer than, not quite longer than Yachio, but we also know her for quite a bit of time already. So right after that, what happens is Iroha then goes to Mitama and asks Mitama about the rumor as well. Like, what is going on with rumors? And Mitama's kind of like, "Nah, whatever." And Mita also at that point hints that Momoko and Yachio they don't really get along, they kind of hate each other, but they used to be really good friends back in the day, but that was a long time ago. Afterwards, then once again, they meet up with Momoko, and when I say they mean Mitama and Iroha, who were talking, then meet up with Momoko again, and they kind of discuss like, hey, Reina is kind of avoiding us, is avoiding Kaede. That sucks. And this actually goes on for a few days, where it kind of shows that Momoko has been waiting for a few days to step in, because Momoko doesn't want to step in all the time. But after a few days, Momoko's like, well, yeah, whatever, we need to step in, we need to do something. Reina has been avoiding us, we need to get her to make up again. Iroha just randomly runs around and finds Rebecca's labyrinth while she's trying to find more information on Ui and Toka and Nemo, although more specifically Toka and Nemo. And in Rebecca's labyrinth, she then comes across Kaede, and Kaede's like, and they have to flee from the labyrinth. They don't even fight the witch at that point. And after fleeing, Iroha is like, you know what? I'm going to help you. I'm going to help you make up and be friends again, because I don't want to see you be enemies. And Iroha also talks to Momoko and Mitama about this, like, hey, what can I do to help? Because you fighting each other kind of reminds me of Soka and Nemo fighting each other all the time, so I want to give you some help. So they come up with a plan, and the plan is Iroha is gonna wait outside of Reina's school, and she's gonna talk to her outside of her school, and she's also gonna try to lure her to some other place by telling her like, hey, Sayuki is having a concert in some other place. So Iroha goes to the school. Somehow she's really bad with technology, so she can't even figure out maps. So she's bad with technology, and she's bad with maps and direction and all of that stuff. So she comes to the school, and it turns out, oh, Dina isn't actually there, she already left, and she's at the arcade. So she goes over to the arcade, and what happens there is she sees Reina at an arcade machine, and she goes over and it's like, hey Reina, there's this concert of Sayuki somewhere else. And Reina is like, oh yeah, I hope you brought your sword glow sticks. And Iroha's like, yeah, of course I did. And Reina's like, yeah, those don't even exist, you're lying to me. So Reina gets angry. She wants to run away again, but Kaede is there as well. Kaede suddenly appears, and she's like, oh, I want to be friends again. She wants to apologize, but Reina quite clearly states, Kaede, please don't apologize. I don't want you to apologize. And Iroha is like, is it because of the rumor? And Reina is like, yeah, it's definitely not because of the rumor. So they all kind of believe the rumor, and they don't want it to come true. So Reina just runs away. And then in the next scene, suddenly Momoko appears, and Momoko is an asshole. And everyone's like, why is Momoko suddenly an abrasive asshole? And it turns out, oh, it's because she's a Reina. So Kaede figures out it's Reina. So once she has figured out Reina is right there, Reina for some reason doesn't want to run away anymore and just lets Kaede speak, and Kaede apologizes to her. But because Kaede apologized, now the Uwasa activates, and Kaede gets taken away by the minions of the Uwasa. At this point, Reina runs away, and Iroha tries to go after Kaede. That's basically how this ends. This is not the end of chapter 2, but this is basically the same point that we have reached. But we are like 80% through chapter 2 at this point. So we've gone through pretty much all of chapter 2 at this point. The only thing that's missing is fighting and battle and combat and all of that good stuff. But you can kind of see how there's a lot of different things going on. We have different characters sort of doing their own thing all over the place. The whole order in which everything happens is completely different. There's a lot more running around between places all over town. But you know what? Now that we've heard about what the game does, let's see what the anime kind of did with this. And then at the end of that, we can sort of summarize the differences between the two. So in the anime, it also starts with the hospital flashback but interesting enough, we see neither Nemu nor Toka. We don't see them ever in this entire episode, and we also don't actually hear what Ui is saying. While in the game, we actually do get a little bit of conversation here and there. Interesting enough, though, we do see nameplates, and the nameplates, they're not really readable, but we can see like one sign per nameplate. We see the top one starts with Tamaki, so it has to be Tamaki Ui. The second one ends with a kanji that is in Toka's name at the end. So the second name is Toka, Satomi Toka to be correct, and the third one ends with a mu, so it's Nemu. So we do actually see, okay, people who have game knowledge will know that these are the nameplates of Nemu and Toka as well, but that's pretty much all we ever get. Just this nameplate is pretty much the only thing that might tell anime-only people that Ui wasn't alone in that room. Then afterwards she talks with Kyubei about Ui's disappearance. This is completely anime original. Like I said in the first part, there is no scene ever anywhere in the entire game where Iroha ever talks to Kyubei. Every time he talks to Kyubei, it's completely anime original. But once again, this sort of serves to bring some exposition and some character development, or at least some characters voicing their opinions, which they did at other points in the game. So for example, she talks about Ui's disappearance, and Kyubei is like, oh, that's weird, there must be some really strong magic at work if really everything changed, or maybe you're just wrong. And this is also very similar to some conversations she also has with Yachio instead. Yachio is like, I don't know if I can believe that maybe the whole world or has been changed, or maybe some strong magic or something is involved with that. So we kind of get a similar idea, but because she's just not gonna run around and talk to Yachio, because we don't want Yachio in this episode, and I'll talk later about why that is the case, we instead just have her talk to Kyubei about it, which is alright. We also see that Iroha is really good with technology for some reason in the anime. She's able to Google a hospital and find where it is that she only saw in her dreams. She'll write straight from her dreams, straight to Google, and she finds out where it is. That's quite alright with technology. While in the game, it's repeatedly like, what is a phone? What is a phone? What is a map? How do electronic maps work? I don't know. But in the anime, it's like, whatever, she knows how to use technology, because I guess they didn't want to deal with Iroha repeatedly going, I don't know what anything is. So then she goes back to Kamihama to find the hospital. So basically her motivation is basically the same. I want to go to Kamihama and visit the hospital. Although in the anime she also mentions like, hey, maybe I can find that Mokyu again, which, like I said, in the game she always has with her, but in here it's like, oh, I kind of want to see if I can find it again. Of course, she tries to get Kuroe to come, but of course we know that Kuroe doesn't even exist in the game, so I guess they also decided that, hey, she's not going to be in this episode either, for some reason. Maybe because she has dealings with the Wings of Magus already, huh? We'll find out. What happens next is then we have, interesting enough, this bus ride, and during this bus ride there's this voice message that's coming in with a woman talking about trying to advertise the Mizuna Shrine, and she actually basically already tells you what's going to happen in chapter 3, because the voice message is basically the rumor, the uwasa, that Iroha and Yachio are dealing with in chapter 3. That's pretty nice. Nice bit of foreshadowing right there. So, of course, this bus ride doesn't really exist like this in the game. She just goes to the hospital, but in here she tries to go to the hospital, but is interrupted by having to fight Rebecca. And the Rebecca in here has hostages, which in the game it's just, oh, here's Rebecca, she fights, whatever. But here it's like, oh no, there's hostages, we have to do something about this. So once again, she finds Kaede, who is running away as always. Like also in the game, Kaede is always like losing fights and running away. Nice bit of consistency right there between the game and the anime. We then see Rebecca, and her design is slightly different from what it is in the game. I mean, this is the first time I've pointed out, but Zenobia was also slightly different, and for example, Yachio's design is slightly different. There are some slight differences in design here and there. Most of the time, it's just to either make it look a bit better than it was in the game, because maybe they wanted to have something that looks better in motion, or maybe they just wanted to have something that's easier to animate. Like for example, Yachio had all of these long strings or whatever coming from her hair, which would have been an absolute nightmare to animate, so instead they gave her like a veil. So what happens next is then, instead of Kaede and Iroha fleeing, which is what they did in the game, they just flee. In here, that's like, oh wait a second, hostages, we can't flee. So they try to fight, or at least they look at each other for a second and then get blasted away. Nice. We then see the rest of Team Kaori come in instantly. Like I said, in the game we only really knew about Kaede and Momoko at this point being friends, but this is also the point where we see Rena as well. So while in the game it's slowly built up, here's Kaede, and then a few scenes later here's Momoko, and then a chapter later here's Rena. Here they're just like, here's Kaede, Momoko, Rena, bam, all three at once. And we also see Momoko and Rena where we see Momoko's butt, and afterwards we see Momoko and Reina do a connect. Like I also mentioned in my non-spoiler review, there's no connect ever happening in the story, ever in the game. This is completely a gameplay mechanic, but they decided, you know what, let's just bring that into the anime, because why not? And we also see the seal, or this icon, appear, and this icon is actually the seal of the adjuster, of Mitama, which you also see later in the game, in the story. Also, very, very interesting, Momoko uses her Magia Universe Edge, but she uses a water type version of Universe Edge, because usually it's fire type. And I guess they're just showing this is what a connect can do. Connect, oh my god, it infuses other people with magic of another character. Wow, amazing. So then Iroha and Kaede get knocked out, and Iroha wakes up at the adjuster's place. So once again, we kind of have a similar idea of them fighting a witch, maybe not killing it, but sort of running away or being forced to run away. And then we appear in the adjuster's house, but instead of just going there, we wake up there. And instead of Mitama being there, she's not there because she's out. Ha, nice. So after waking up there, Iroha then talks a bit more to Team Kamore, and as you might have already noticed in the game, Reina, right as she appears, already breaks up with Kaede, so we don't actually get much of Reina, but in here, we actually do get to see Team Kamore as a trio together for most of the episode. So we get a lot of banter between them, and we see what their team dynamic is like, and we notice they are definitely a team Terrible Life Choices. So Iroha then talks about still wanting to go to the hospital because she hasn't done that yet in the episode. She wants to go to the hospital and look for Ui. Once again, she doesn't mention Toka and Nemo, even though in the game she only mentioned Toka and Nemo and not Ui. And after telling that to Momoko, Momoko is like, you know what, we'll help, we'll help out, yeah, we'll help. And of course Reina objects, and Kaede is like, yeah, but probably, maybe we should help, you know? So what happens is, they also then reference the Chain Witch that they were hunting, which is also something that never happened in the game, where they talked about this Chain Witch, and they kind of hint towards stuff that's going to happen later in the game, and I guess that's kind of where they wanted to bring this in, because pretty much right at the beginning of Chapter 2 in the game, we already got told about the breakup staircase, but in here they're like, let's get the info kind of into the anime, but not straight up tell people about it. So we're just gonna be like, okay, there's this Chain Witch that's around, and we're trying to hunt it, but it's very mysterious and we don't know what's going on there. They also then show the bags and the charms, which is something that I really like, because of course the charms on the back being the same is something that when you have that in a written story, you can make a mention of it, like, hey guys, do you see how we all have the same bear charms? Or another character can see it and like, look, bear charms, wow. But when you have the ability to show it visually, you don't need to have a character specifically mention that. You can just have characters do something else, and then while they're doing something else, you just show it in a shot. Look, these are the characters of these are the backs of the characters. They have these bear charms on them, and one of them even has the Sayo Sayo keychain. Nice. You can just show that visually, and you don't need to have characters talk about it. So this actually gives me quite a bit of hope for the rest of the anime, that they can do some more reasonably intelligent stuff with the visual medium of anime. Wow. Next up, Iroha then goes all the way to the hospital, and she tries to find information on Ui. Once again, she only asks for Ui at the reception. While in the game, she didn't even go to the reception at all. She straight up went over to the hospital room and then realized, oh, empty. That's bad. But here she goes to the reception, talks about Ui, and they're like, we don't know who or what even Ui is, and Iroha has to go away. So then they also go to McDonald's, and asshole Momoko makes an appearance, which is of course Reina, and they kind of show her transformation ability visually at that point. While in the game, basically right as Reina appeared, she tries to fight Iroha, and she just transforms in front of Iroha and shows like, hey, I can transform, yay. While in here they show it more organically, I guess I would say. And then they also talk about it like, hey Reina, why are you transforming all the time? You can't keep doing that. So they want to bring up the transformation as an idea that people know about, because there's going to be a plot point coming up where they talk about sneaking into the hospital using Reina to transform into a nurse. Of course, a fight breaks out, and they this is also doing something that I quite enjoy, because I usually, when I talk to other people about the anime before the anime aired, I was like, we're only going to get the main story, we're not going to get the side stories, we're not going to get Marushotsu stories. And because of that, we're going to miss a lot of backstory, because all the backstory about all of the characters is all part of the side stories. If you remove all of that, you don't get any background for the characters. I mean, they might hint at it, they might say some lines here and there, but you don't really get to know anything. But here they're at least like, hey, I'm going to have Kaede talk about her wish a little bit. We're going to reference that Reina has no friends at school. So we do kind of throw that backstory in. Like I said, we can't really show the entire backstory. We can't really dedicate too much time to it, because we're going to have to move forward with the main story. Maybe at some point there'll be OVAs that show the side stories. But right now, at least they acknowledge, like, hey, we're missing background if we just do main story, so we're just going to try and weave the background into it. So while in the game we didn't actually know what they were angry about, because Kaede and Reina broke up, but we didn't know what it was. Iroha just appears and sees them breaking up. That's basically what happens in the game. But in here it's like, okay, we actually get to see why they were fighting, what they were fighting about, and while they are fighting, we get to hear their background, we get to hear the backstory. That's really good. They have basically solved all the problems that they would have had in this situation, all while still following the main story. That's really good. So we then see that Kaede is the first one to stand up, break up, and run away, while I think in the game it was Reina who was the first one. But we also kind of see that Reina is always the one who starts the fights, because Reina is kind of an asshole. And Momoko then tells Iroha about the breakup stairs in the next scene. This is kind of different from the game. Like I said, it was Yachio that told Iroha about it, but then Momoko was like, that's just a rumor. How can you believe that if it's Yachio saying that? While in the anime it seems like, oh yeah, Momoko actually believes the rumor, and it's only hinted at that Yachio might have something to do with the rumor, because we see this shot of her standing on a building, which makes no sense. Why would she stand on a building randomly? I don't know. So it's they kind of hint at it in the anime that there is a connection with Momoko rumors and Yachio, while in the game they outright state what the connection between all these different characters are. But more so in the game, Momoko and Yachio, they hate each other and they don't want to listen to each other ever. While in the game it seems like they're kind of on the same track. They kind of want to just deal with the problems and help people, or even while Momoko is a lot more friendly and nice, while Yachio is more cold and more pragmatic and doesn't really want to deal with other people that much. Momoko tells her about the breakup stairs, and there's one very important part about the breakup stairs in the anime, is that they added the part about having to edge your name into the staircase. I think the biggest reason why they did that is they wanted to make it more visual, because you can make this very nice visual shot of you seeing both of their names edged into the staircase. And also it brings the actual staircase into the rumor, because in the game the staircase isn't really part of the rumor at all. I mean, later on when they fight the Uwasa, there is a staircase that is part in that fight. The actual Uwasa is part staircase, but we don't actually ever get any hint of that in the game, because the rumor in the game is just about friends breaking up and then trying to apologize. That's basically the entire rumor in the game. But in the anime, it's like, okay, you have to add this step of notching your names into the staircase, and only then does it become active. Also, doing it this way puts more blame on Reina herself, because she was the one who edged their names into the staircase. We then see that they try to find Reina, and the way they do that is next day they all come together and they head to the arcade. And in the arcade they're trying to find her, and I like this very much, is that they find Ren. Ren is there, our favorite suicidal lesbian, and a lot of people were like, oh my god, Ren is in the anime, wow, amazing, are we gonna see Rika? Are they gonna make out? No, because it's not actually Ren, it's Reina, and we see that quite easily. Even before they have Kaede burst into the shot, we have this we have this short scene where the camera shows the keychain. And you don't have to pay that much attention to understand, like, oh yeah, that is the keychain of Reyna. So I like that, the fact that they didn't wait for Kaede to come in and basically reveal to you, like, hey, look, I noticed it because of your bag. They actually allowed the viewer to see it first. It sounds like a trivial thing to do. Of course, you will give the viewer the opportunity to see it first before you reveal it. But you'd be surprised how easy it is for people making anime to just forget that and then just have it come out of the blue. So yeah, we see that she has the Sayo keychain, which also has a sword on it because Sayuki loves swords. And Kaede notices that and they run away. Now, while they're running away, we see that Reyna transforms a bunch more. And I promised you guys during the first part of this review that I would talk to you about why Reyna transforms so much, even when it seems like there's no reason for her to transform. And the reason is, it was kind of hinted at earlier when they talked about her backstory, where they're like, okay, you have no friends at school. Reyna's backstory is basically that she is an asshole, and because she's an asshole, people bullied her, she had no friends, and because people bullied her and she had no friends, she became even more of an asshole, and this sort of kept spiraling out, and Reyna started hating herself quite a lot because she knows, like, oh man, I have no friends, people bully me, and I'm just being an asshole to people, and I just can't stop because this is just who I am. So she wanted to change who she is, and she wished to not be herself anymore. She wished to be someone else, and that's how she got her ability to transform. I know a lot of people on Reddit already speculated, like, Reyna probably hates herself and that's why she's transforming so much. But the thing is, I don't know how many of the people who said that already know the story. Because, you know, there's plenty of people out there who know the story who will act like they're speculating, and then they can go, oh, I happened to speculate correctly. Am I smart, guys? And other people go, oh yeah, you're so smart speculating correctly. Yeah, a lot of people who said that probably already know the story, but maybe not all of those. So yeah, Reyna hates herself, and that's why she is transforming all the time, because she doesn't want to face her problems head on. She doesn't want to be herself when it comes to dealing with problems. That's her instinct. When there's a problem, become someone else. She can't really stop doing that because she doesn't want to be herself. And that's why she keeps transforming here. We then see that Kaede wants to apologize, and Reyna is mostly silent. In the game, Reyna was like, please don't apologize, I don't want you to apologize, and that's how we sort of get led into this idea that Reyna believes the rumor and she doesn't want the rumor to come true, so she's trying to protect Kaede by not letting her apologize. But in the anime, it's more like Reyna really wants to break up. It wasn't something that just happened on a whim, because in the game they also say, like, we fight all the time, we break up all the time, but then we also get together all the time. So it wasn't really anything too special in the game that they were making up and trying to get together again, while in the anime it's more like Reyna really wants to not be friends anymore, and that's why she also edged her name into the staircase. But now this all backfires because Kaede doesn't want to let go, and now it's kind of Kaede edging the rumor to activate, similarly to how it happened in the game. And Reyna, we can kind of guess that Reyna doesn't want the rumor to activate, which is why she's staying so silent and why she's running away. But this is something that we have to infer in the anime, that Reyna really doesn't want the rumor to activate, while in the game it was basically stated outright that she doesn't want the rumor to activate. However, the Uwasa activates and Kaede is dragged along. But interesting enough as well, the rumor minions look a lot different than they do in the game. In the game, the rumor minions look a lot like witch minions. They look like these weird monsters, but while in the anime, they look very humanoid. They look humanoid with humanoid voices, and this kind of brings it why I think they did this change, is because rumors and Uwasa, they talk. When you have something that talks, it's probably better if it looks a bit more humanoid than these weird shapes and monsters that you see in the game. So there's also the Uwasa-san, the rumor spreader, and that one is also humanoid. So I guess it makes sense that if it's something that speaks and it's something that's supposed to look very different from witch minions, that they make it something humanoid. Makes sense. So then the rumor takes Kaede away, and it's interesting enough also only Reyna that notices the rumor taking effect, while I think everyone notices the rumor taking effect in the game because they're suddenly transported into an Uwasa barrier. But here only Reina notices that something is going on and she tries to stop it, but she can't stop it, and Kaede is taken away. We then see the end card, and the end card is Kanagi Izumi. Oh, Kanagi is in the end card. A lot of people have said this is very out of character for Kanagi to just be lazing around, because in case you don't know Kanagi is a dominatrix who is all about being very serious about everything and always working hard. She's a serious, hardworking girl, and she's a dominatrix. A lot of people want her to step on them. Sure. Anyway, that is basically all of the major differences between the two. I might have missed something here and there. If I did miss something, tell me in the comments. But now to summarize, why did they make these big changes that they did? First off, once again, like in Chapter 1, we have less characters appearing. We basically only have Iroha and Team Kamori, while in the game, what we had Mitama along as well. We had Yachio along as well. They all get their own scenes. We then also have flashbacks to Nemo and Toka, who you can say are also two characters who are involved with this. So there's like more than twice the characters, like twice the characters involved into what's actually going on in this chapter. So by removing that, by saying, okay, no, we're going to remove Nemo and Toka, we're going to remove Mitama, we're going to only have Yachio appear standing somewhere, whatever. We're also going to remove Kurue from episode 1. We're only going to focus on Team Kamori. And I think this is very, very good. This is basically exactly what they had to do. If someone told me before this episode, how should they approach this episode, I probably would have said that. Yeah, just remove most of the characters and just focus on Team Kamori just for this episode. Because if you have all of these different characters, none of them are going to get any development. It's really, really hard to get used to so many different characters when you keep bouncing between them. And also something they did is they didn't keep bouncing between different locations all the time. In the game, there's only like one scene, location change, one scene, location change, one scene, location change, all the time. Location keeps changing, they bounce all over the time. They go to Mitama's shop like 3 times. So instead, they went, we're going to streamline this, we're going to make it more condensed, more straightforward. She's in this location, she goes to that location, then she's in this location, and then we're kind of almost done with the episode. So they made sure that it's easier to follow, that it's easier to not get whisked around and actually stay focused on what's going on. They also made sure to only focus on Team Kamori, so we don't get lost along other characters who don't really have anything important to do right now. And because of that, it does feel a lot less chaotic than it does in the game. If they just took the game and did everything that happened in the game as an anime, not only would it take 2 episodes to arrive at the same point, we would also have like twice the characters, we would also keep changing between locations, and it would be very chaotic, and people would just get lost and be like, what? Why? Why does she keep bouncing all the time? Also, interesting enough, they removed as I mentioned, the dynamic between Yachio and Momoko. In the game, they really want you to dislike and distrust, and also to a certain degree, they want you to hate Yachio, because Yachio is, like I said, to some degree, she appears evil and untrustworthy in the game, while in the anime, she's a lot more mysterious because we don't get that many more scenes with her. In the game, she keeps talking all the time. We actually see her quite a lot, but in the anime, she has only appeared once in a scene where she was actually speaking. And apart from that, we only really see quick shots of her standing somewhere, looming somewhere. We get references to her, but we don't get any more concrete information on her. So they're keeping her a lot more mysterious. But with everything that we've seen from her, she seems a lot more benevolent than she does in the game. And Momoko also doesn't try to fuel the flame like she did in the game, where Momoko was also telling you, hey, Yachio, don't trust her, she might be evil. While in the game, in the anime, they don't really have Momoko mention Yachio, but we see her basically telling Iroha what Yachio told her in the game. So they probably aren't really hating each other in the anime. They seem to kind of be on the same track. So overall, like I said, it's more simple, more straightforward, more condensed, more streamlined, less chaotic, with less characters, and actually giving you the time to get to know these characters. I also mentioned something in the first review that I did, is that the pacing has slowed down a lot more. I should probably probably talk a bit more about this, because I think I didn't really talk well enough about what I actually meant. I know a lot of people have said, no, the pacing is way too fast now. And I would also not disagree with that. The thing is, I meant the actual pacing of each scene individually. Like, if you just look at individual scenes and think to yourself, what is happening in this scene? For example, you have the scene at the Adjusters, where in the anime, they just talk for a really long time, kind of just reiterating some of the points we already know, and they only sprinkle a bit of more information in here and there, and the scene is mostly just about, hey, look, just listen to these three characters talk a bit so you get to know these three characters. But the plot doesn't actually progress that much. And then we have the scene in the McDonald's where they also talk for a really long time, and basically the entire scene is about Rena can help you, but they're breaking up now, and we get a little bit of backstory. But the actual main plot, if you would call it that, doesn't actually go anywhere, other than we're getting told that Rena can help us. But there is a lot of talking about just these characters being these characters, just so that we can get to know these characters well. And this is what I meant, is they're spending time on us getting to know these characters. However, why do people think that the pacing is fast? And like I said, I wouldn't disagree with that. The pacing is also rather fast, yeah, because if you actually look at the progression from when she first meets Team Kamore to when Iroha then watches Kaede getting taken away by the rumor, there's a lot more that happens in between, like a lot more scenes, I would say, that happen in the game that get us to try to understand more what is actually going on with the Uwasa, why are people scared of the Uwasa, and we get more different characters pitching in their opinions on what's going on. Like Mitama talks about what's going on, Nyacho talks about what's going on, Momoko talks about what's going on, Kaede pitches in as well. We get Mokyu, the player character, not doing anything but also being present. So it takes longer in the game to get to this point. While in the anime, it's like they meet up, they talk once, they talk twice, and now we have already the escalation of them breaking apart and Kaede maybe dying. I'm gonna say maybe dying. I know she doesn't die in the game, but it's Inukuri who so far has shown that they are willing to make massive changes. It's possible that they say, you know what, we're gonna make a massive change. We're going to kill someone in episode 3. Even though Kaede is still part of the team in the entire game story, and there's actually some plot points later on where Team Kamore have to go through some hardships, and you could say, well, maybe them going through the hardships later on wouldn't make that much sense at that point if they already lose a character now. But I'm saying it's still possible. I'm saying it's still possible that they lose a character now. Although the chance of that happening is very, very low. Very, very low that that happens. But yeah, so it does go rather fast, like I said, from her meeting Team Kamore to at the end of the episode already baiting someone's death. So, like I said, the individual scenes themselves, I would say, are a bit slow, but the overall pacing of the character progression that is going on is rather fast. So yeah, that's basically all I want to say. If you want to see more of this, leave a subscribe, and if you want to talk to me about anything, leave a comment below. That was it. Hope you guys enjoyed it. See you guys later.